Ladies and gentlemen, the true test of character is not found in how we act before an audience, but in how we behave when we stand alone. Many can perform kindness for applause, but few can practice it when the world is silent. Who are you when the stage is empty? Who are you when the doors are closed? A person of integrity does not require an audience to be honest, fair, or compassionate. A student does not need a teacher to be present in order to study with diligence. A leader does not need to be monitored to fulfill their responsibilities with excellence. True greatness is rooted in consistency, doing what is right, whether seen or unseen. The world operates on the principle of sowing and reaping. When you plant seeds of kindness, fairness, and respect, even in secret, you will reap a harvest of favor, honor, and success. But if we choose to mistreat, manipulate, or deceive when we believe no one is looking, we are setting a trap for ourselves. What we do in the dark will always come to light. Consider this. History remembers people not just for their achievements, but for their character. The most admired individuals were those who upheld their values in every situation, not just when the cameras were on them. They understood that true honor is not demanded, it is earned through a life of integrity. Above all, we must remember that even when no human eye is watching, the Creator sees everything. We are accountable not just to people, but to a higher moral law that governs the universe. The greatest measure of wisdom is to live by principles. By circumstances. So I challenge you today. Be kind when no one thanks you. Be honest when no one checks on you. Be diligent when no one expects you to be. Because who you are in private determines who you become in public. May we all commit to living with integrity, not for the sake of recognition, but because it is the right thing to do. Character is the foundation of a person's identity. It is not merely what we present to the world, but what we genuinely are when no one is observing us. Many people focus on shaping their public image, ensuring they look respectable, kind, and honest in front of others. However, true character is not measured by public performance, but by private actions. When all the applause fades, when the stage is empty, and when the doors are closed, what remains is the real measure of who we are. A person of integrity does not change based on who is watching. They do not adjust their behavior to gain approval or avoid criticism. Instead, they live by principles that are rooted deep within them, guiding their actions consistently, whether in the presence of an audience or in complete solitude. This is why integrity is often described as doing the right thing, even when no one is looking. It is about having a standard of truth, honesty, and kindness that does not shift depending on external circumstances. And in everyday life, we see clear examples of this concept. A student who studies diligently, even when no teacher is monitoring them, demonstrates discipline and responsibility. An employee who works with excellence, even when the manager is absent, shows commitment and self-respect. A leader who makes ethical decisions, even when there are no immediate consequences, proves that they are guided by values rather than convenience. These individuals are not acting out of fear of being caught or a desire for praise. They are simply being true to who they are. On the other hand, a person who behaves differently based on who is watching lacks authenticity. If someone is honest only when others are paying attention, but becomes deceptive when they believe they will not be caught, then their honesty is not real. It is conditional. If a person is respectful and kind to those who can benefit them, but rude and dismissive to those who seem unimportant, then their kindness is not genuine. It is transactional. Such behavior reveals a weakness in character because it is based on external rewards rather than internal conviction. History and literature provide countless illustrations of this truth. Many great leaders and influential figures were distinguished not just by their public accomplishments, but by their private integrity. They understood that character is not built in the spotlight. It is built in the quiet moments of decision-making, in the unseen battles between right and wrong. Those who compromised their values when no one was watching often faced downfall, while those who upheld their principles found lasting honor. This principle also applies in personal relationships. How we treat others in private, when there is no one to impress, determines the strength of our character. A person who speaks well of their friends in public but gossips about them in secret is not a true friend. A person who appears generous when people are watching but is selfish in private does not truly possess a giving heart. Relationships built on pretense eventually crumble, while those grounded in sincerity stand the test of time. In a world driven by social validation, it is easy to fall into the trap of performing for approval. Many people shape their actions based on how they will be perceived rather than what is truly right. Social media in particular has intensified this tendency, where individuals present only their best moments, carefully crafting an image of goodness and success. But the question remains, who are we when the cameras are off? When no likes, shares, or comments exist to validate our actions? It is in these private moments that true character is revealed. The strongest individuals are those who have developed an unwavering moral foundation. They do not require external supervision to do what is right, because their principles are deeply ingrained within them. They are trustworthy, not because someone is watching, but because they refuse to betray their own values. They are kind, not because they seek recognition, but because kindness is a part of who they are. They are honest not because of fear of consequences, but because they understand that truth is a non-negotiable standard. This kind of character is not formed overnight. It is cultivated through daily choices, small but significant decisions that shape who we become. Each time we choose to act with integrity when no one is watching, we strengthen our inner foundation. Over time, this consistency builds a reputation of trustworthiness and honor. People who develop such character do not need to prove themselves to others. They are naturally respected because their integrity speaks louder than words. The reality is that everything done in secret eventually manifests in public. A person who builds a habit of lying in private will one day be exposed. A person who mistreats others behind closed doors will eventually reveal their true nature. Conversely, a person who practices honesty, kindness, and discipline in unseen moments will inevitably shine when opportunities arise. The private victories of self-control, patience, and ethical decision-making create a strong foundation that withstands any test. Therefore, the measure of a person's greatness is not found in how they behave under supervision, but in how they act when left to their own choices. Character is the silent force that determines destiny. Those who commit to living with integrity, even in the smallest details of life, will find that their consistency builds a legacy of trust, honor, and lasting influence. Life operates on a fundamental principle. Whatever a person sows, that is what they will also reap. This is not just a lesson in agriculture, but a universal truth that applies to every area of existence. Every action, every word, and every decision is like a seed planted into the soil of life, and in due time, it will bring forth a harvest. Whether one acknowledges it or not, the seeds we plant today determine the outcomes we will experience in the future. When we treat others with kindness, respect, and fairness, we are sowing seeds that will return to us in ways we may not immediately recognize. A person who consistently treats others well, even in unseen moments, will eventually find favor and goodwill returning to them. Those who uplift and encourage others will themselves be lifted and encouraged in their time of need. Just as a farmer does not expect to plant wheat and harvest thorns, we cannot plant dishonesty, cruelty, or selfishness and expect to receive kindness, trust, or honor in return. The challenge, however, is that the harvest does not always come immediately. Many people grow impatient because they expect instant results. Just as a seed takes time to grow into a tree and bear fruit, our actions also take time to produce results. This delay often misleads people into thinking that their choices do not matter, but nothing escapes the law of sowing and reaping. A person may deceive others for a season, mistreat people in secret, or act selfishly without facing immediate consequences, but eventually the results of those actions will surface. One of the greatest misunderstandings in life is believing that we can control outcomes without considering the seeds we plant. Many people desire success but sow laziness. They want respect but sow dishonor. They crave loyalty but sow betrayal. The reality is that life does not respond to our wishes. It responds to our actions. If we want to build a future of peace, prosperity, and strong relationships, we must deliberately sow seeds that align with those outcomes. This requires conscious effort, discipline, and patience, especially when it feels like our efforts go unnoticed. It is important to understand that the quality of our harvest depends not only on what we sow, but also on how we nurture it. A farmer does not simply scatter seeds and walk away. They water, protect, and care for their crops until the time of harvest. Similarly, in life, consistency in our actions is essential. One act of kindness or honesty is valuable, but a lifestyle of kindness and honesty is transformational. The more we cultivate positive habits and attitudes, the more we secure a fruitful future. Some people focus only on personal gain, seeking shortcuts to success by mistreating others, deceiving their way to the top, or manipulating situations for their advantage. While such tactics may appear to work in the short term, they are unsustainable. Just as a farmer who neglects his fields will eventually face famine, those who disregard the principles of integrity and fairness will ultimately face loss. Life has a way of balancing itself, ensuring that no one can escape the consequences of their actions indefinitely. Sowing and reaping extend beyond individual actions to influence entire communities and societies. When leaders govern with justice and compassion, their nations experience stability and growth. When businesses operate with honesty and fairness, they build trust and long-term success. When families cultivate love, respect, and unity, they produce generations of strong, principled individuals. The seeds sown by one generation often determine the opportunities and challenges faced by the next. Another key aspect of this principle is that we do not always reap from the same source where we have sown. Sometimes we extend kindness to one person, but receive help from an unexpected source. A person may invest time in mentoring someone who later influences another individual positively. The good we do does not always return to us from the same direction, but it never disappears. This is why it is essential to do good without expecting immediate rewards or recognition. The impact of our positive actions often extends far beyond what we can see. On the other hand, those who sow seeds of negativity, dishonesty, hatred, cruelty, may not see the results right away, but the consequences are inevitable. Betrayal eventually leads to broken trust. Greed eventually leads to loss. A lack of discipline eventually results in failure. Some people wonder why their lives are filled with turmoil, not realizing that they are simply harvesting the consequences of past choices. Understanding this truth allows us to take responsibility for our actions and make intentional changes where needed. This principle teaches us to be mindful of how we treat others. Every interaction is an opportunity to sow either a seed of goodwill or one of harm. Whether we choose to be generous or selfish, truthful or deceptive, patient or harsh, we are always planting something that will one day return to us. The wisest individuals live with this awareness, ensuring that their daily choices align with the kind of future they desire. In a world where many are driven by instant gratification, remembering the principle of sowing and reaping helps us remain patient and persistent. It reminds us that while we may not always see immediate results, nothing is ever wasted. Every kind word, every selfless act, every honest decision contributes to a future harvest. And in due time, those who have sown with integrity will reap a life filled with blessings, honor, and fulfillment. A person's legacy is not built in a single moment, but through a lifetime of choices, actions, and principles. True honor is not something that is demanded or acquired through force. It is earned through a consistent pattern of integrity, respect, and selflessness. A legacy of honor is not measured by wealth, titles, or worldly achievements alone, but by the lasting impact one leaves on others. It is built in the way a person treats those around them, in the values they uphold, and in the example they set for future generations. Many people strive for success, but success without honor is temporary and meaningless. The world has seen individuals who achieved great power, fame, and fortune, but lacked the character to sustain it. Their influence faded because it was built on manipulation, dishonesty, or selfish ambition. On the other hand, history remembers those who lived with integrity, even when no one was watching. These individuals may not have sought recognition, but their lives spoke volumes through their actions, their words, and the values they passed on to others. A legacy of honor is shaped by the decisions made in the quiet moments of life. It is easy to appear honorable in public, to show kindness when people are watching, and to display generosity when it is expected. However, true honor is built in the unseen moments, the choices made when no applause is given and no rewards are expected. The way a person speaks about others in their absence, the honesty they uphold in private dealings, and the respect they show even when no one is keeping count. These are the elements that shape an enduring legacy. One of the defining characteristics of honorable individuals is their ability to think beyond themselves. They understand that life is not just about personal gain, but about contributing to something greater. They recognize that their actions today will influence future generations. Parents, for example, do not simply raise children. They shape the next generation's mindset, values, and morals. Teachers do not merely educate. They instill wisdom that extends far beyond the classroom. Leaders do not simply govern. They set a standard that will either uplift or degrade the society they serve. Every individual, regardless of their position, has the power to build a legacy of honor. This begins with treating others with fairness and dignity, even in situations where it may seem unnecessary. The way a person treats a stranger, a subordinate, or someone who cannot offer them anything in return speaks volumes about their character. Those who consistently show kindness and fairness, regardless of the circumstances, are the ones who leave behind a lasting positive impact. One of the greatest tests of character is how a person handles power and authority. Some individuals, when given a position of influence, use it to dominate, manipulate, or take advantage of others. They believe that power gives them the right to be above ethical standards. However, true honor is demonstrated when a person uses their influence to uplift and protect others rather than to serve their own selfish interests. History has shown that those who misuse power may seem invincible for a time, but ultimately their legacy crumbles. Those who use their position for good, however, are remembered with admiration and respect. A legacy of honor is also built through humility. Many people associate honor with receiving praise, but the most honorable individuals are those who do not seek recognition. They do what is right, not for applause, but because it is in their nature. Humility allows a person to remain focused on their purpose without being distracted by the need for external validation. It keeps them grounded, ensuring that they remain committed to their principles even when no one acknowledges their efforts. Another key aspect of building a legacy of honor is integrity. Integrity means being the same person in private as in public. It means standing by one's values, even when it is inconvenient or costly. A person of integrity does not cut corners or engage in dishonest practices to get ahead. They understand that their reputation is built on trust, and once that trust is broken, it is difficult to restore. Integrity creates a legacy that stands firm, while dishonesty creates one that eventually collapses. A person who desires to leave behind a legacy of honor must also be willing to invest in others. Honor is not just about personal achievement, but about how one has influenced and impacted those around them. The greatest leaders, mentors, and role models are those who take the time to guide, support, and uplift others. They share their knowledge, encourage growth, and create opportunities for others to succeed. Their influence does not end with their lifetime. It continues through the people they have helped along the way. In a world where many seek instant gratification, it is easy to forget that honor is built over time. It is not the result of one grand action, but of countless small decisions made every day. Choosing honesty over deceit, kindness over cruelty, humility over arrogance, and service over self-interest. All these choices accumulate to form a legacy that will be remembered long after one is gone. The truth is that everyone will leave behind a legacy, whether they intend to or not. The question is not whether a person will be remembered, but how they will be remembered. Will they be known for their integrity, generosity, and wisdom? Or will their name be associated with selfishness, dishonesty, and regret? The answer lies in the choices made today, in the way one treats others, and in the principles one chooses to uphold. A legacy of honor is the greatest inheritance one can leave behind. Money fades, possessions lose value, and worldly achievements are eventually forgotten. But a reputation built on integrity, kindness, and selfless service lasts for generations. Those who commit to living with honor not only shape their own destiny, but also create a path for others to follow, leaving behind a world that is better because of their presence. In life, people often seek recognition for their good deeds. They want to be acknowledged for their kindness, praised for their generosity, and rewarded for their integrity. While appreciation is valuable, the greatest rewards often come from the good we do, when no one is watching. Acts of unseen goodness hold a unique power. Though they may go unnoticed by people, they never go unseen by life itself. Every time we choose to do what is right, even when no one is there to applaud or validate our actions, we are investing in a future harvest of blessings, peace, and fulfillment. The most rewarding acts of kindness are often those done in secrecy, with no expectation of return. When we help someone who cannot repay us, we demonstrate the purest form of generosity. When we choose to forgive someone who will never know the depth of our grace, we experience the true freedom that forgiveness brings. When we stand for truth and integrity, even in moments where there is no immediate benefit, we strengthen our character and establish a foundation that will sustain us in the long run. These unseen choices shape not only our destiny, but also the lives of those around us. One of the greatest rewards of doing good in private is the development of inner peace. Many people struggle with stress, guilt, and anxiety because they live double lives, one in public and another in secret. They try to maintain an image of goodness while knowing that their private actions do not align with their public persona. However, when a person's private life reflects their values, they experience a deep sense of peace. There is no need for pretense, no fear of being exposed, and no weight of hidden wrongs. Their conscience is clear, allowing them to walk in confidence and security. Another significant reward of unseen goodness is the trust it builds. Trust is not established through public gestures alone, but through the consistency of a person's character. People may not always witness the choices we make in private, but over time, the results of those choices become evident. A person who is honest in small matters, even when no one is checking, will eventually be trusted with greater responsibilities. The leader who upholds integrity behind closed doors will earn the loyalty of those they lead. A spouse who remains faithful, not just in action, but in thought and intention, will cultivate a marriage built on genuine love and trust. Unseen goodness also has the power to inspire others in ways we may never fully realize. Many times, people observe our actions without us knowing it. A child watching their parent show kindness to a stranger may grow up to be compassionate. An employee who sees their manager treat others with fairness may develop a strong sense of ethics. A friend who notices another's quiet generosity may be encouraged to become more giving. The goodness we display, even in small and unnoticed ways, can create ripples that extend far beyond our immediate reach. One of the most profound truths about unseen goodness is that it always finds a way to return. Life operates on the principle that whatever we give, we receive in some form. A person who consistently sows kindness will eventually reap kindness in unexpected ways. A person who goes out of their way to help others will find help coming to them when they least expect it. Even if our good deeds are not immediately rewarded by people, they are never wasted. Life has a way of bringing back what we put out into the world, often at the perfect time when we need it the most. Unseen goodness strengthens character. It teaches discipline, patience, and selflessness. When we do good without expecting anything in return, we cultivate a heart that is not driven by external validation. This type of character is rare but invaluable. It allows a person to remain steadfast in their values, even in the face of adversity. It enables them to do what is right, not because of rewards or recognition, but simply because it aligns with who they are. Another reward of unseen goodness is the long-term impact it has on relationships. People are naturally drawn to those who are genuine, kind, and consistent in their actions. When someone treats others well, even when there is no personal gain, it establishes deep and meaningful connections. whether in friendships, marriages, or professional relationships, the trust and respect earned through genuine kindness create bonds that last a lifetime.